Okay, this is part two on this. If you haven't seen part one, I encourage you to go to the end of this. In the last 30 seconds or so, it'll show up in your top right hand corner as part one again. You can click on that and go back to it. I was literally leaned over, looked at how much time I had left, thinking that I was getting close. I looked at it whenever I did, it blinked on me just while we were right here. So we'll just start part two from here. So this, what we're looking at here, is a fragmentary comet that's been affected by the sun. It's come a little too close, and whenever it did, it's busted into pieces, and it's a little over glared in this shot, but there's a piece here, a huge piece that you're seeing here, another piece down here, and it strings out piece, piece, piece if you look at it right there. And there's more pieces along that line, and in between is a dust trail that's leading off, so it's disintegrating and leaving a lot of pieces off, but then each one of these rocks and stuff are going on. I'm just going to give you an example here, but let's just say that that these right here are what's been slightly trying to make it through our atmosphere and haven't made it through. But if that's the effect, then this guy right here would make it through and cause a problem. This guy would cause a big damn problem, and this thing right up here would cause an event that we wouldn't shut up about for thousands and thousands of years if we even had the ability to speak about it again. That's well, that's Swashman Walkman. That's 73P. That's where it broke up. Um, Anyhow, ancient astronomers. Let's look into this portion of it. Finally, we have the animal symbols at Gobekli Tepe and in cave art, as I described about in Taurus. The general view is that these are examples of animalism and a kind of shamanism and animal aspects. However, we know that without a shadow of a doubt that these animal symbols are symbolic and actually represent the same star constellations we know today on the various equinoxes and solstices. It does have to do with that, but it's there's an as above, so below. And whenever you look at it from probably their point of view, if you can get into that psyche of it, where they have the Taurus and the bull and these things going on, and bulls migrating at certain times of year, and they put things together, and this tries to develop a calendar and so on, and anyhow, so calendars are also originally seems to be developed off of moon cycles, which go with women's cycles, knowing how many cycles a woman goes through before she gives birth, and all these type of things come out of it. And it's probably why we had a lunar cycle. It's much easier to keep up with a lunar year too. You can see a moon go through its waxing and waning and crescents and so on, and easily keep up with it, whereas the rest of it requires some heavy astronomy to go on. So they demonstrate that the precession of the equinox was known to people many tens of thousands of years ago, and therefore that Hipparchus, of the ancient Greeks, were not the first to discover this effect in the 2nd century BC, which is commonly believed and touted by people. Gobekli Tepe and Pillar 43 provided the key to understanding this, but our Fox paper left out some room for doubt. This doubt has been effectively eliminated by more recent peer-reviewed papers, this time with Alastair Combs, that demonstrates that the same zodiacal system we can be used to read Western European cave art, such as Lascaux, which I did a vid on, and Chauvet, which I did just recently, in Altamira. I think I showed a couple of pictures in, but indeed the Lascaux shaft scene can be interpreted as a memorial to another devastating comet impact. This time it seems in around 15,150 BC. There is no more speculation. Our zodiacal theory has been proven in a scientific sense, or it does seem to correlate to being something that really causes a lot more problems than we were willing to think of, or what did cause the problems. Here's the story. Halley's Comet linked to planetary cooling about 1,500 years ago. They'd come close because they described it, and then we ran through its dust trail off of it, and did we have something to come out of that? Here's that cave art that he's talking about here, and it shows you Taurus and the marking of its shoulder, but this event having come down, and there's other depictions that show you the same type of thing. Look at this little ducky right there. It's just perfect. That's the Lacoste chef scene. Indeed, even the earliest acceptable examples of figurative art, the 40,000-year-old Lion Man of Hohenstaedel Cave, obeys this zodiacal system. In this case, this sculpture likely represents the constellation of Cancer on the winter solstice at that time. And I'm telling you, no, it marks Leo at harvest. Yeah, it marks Leo at harvest. Because that was a little more important to these people. You'd have that, or maybe you'd have it whenever the flood system comes, like what happened in Egypt, right? And you think Sumeria would be built on that too, but since they had already started with things that didn't have to do with a flood system timing, that's why theirs isn't keyed onto it. How about that? All of this evidence and more is summarized in my recent book, Prehistory Decoded, as well as piecing this evidence together to create a coherent picture of the last 40,000 years. I also show that it relates to the origin of civilizations, the origin of religion, and the true age of the Great Sphinx. And there's been a lot of conjecture about the true age of the Great Sphinx, but people are saying that it's 7,000 years ago whenever it was raining there and so on, and I'm telling you it was not. It was not. It's a recent thing that it stopped raining there ever so often and having floods and doing all these type of things locally and having wadis and oases. And I showed you recently the river system that ran through there that they actually make note of in the time of Herodotus and Ptolemy even, and how it's drying up and turned into wadis and so on that they speak of, and then it just disintegrates from there. Now we've looked at the Green Sahara project and realized, well, okay, who was living there way back when? And it's these same type of people. And we looked at Neptunes here recently too, in Seven Phoenician Sevens video, where it showed you connections to those people from ancient memorial times and so on. And it's noted that they have connections to Gobekli Tepe through these guys here. I don't know if they've genetically connected it or not. They found a couple of skulls there, and at first they said it was supposed to be, I saw an article of skull worshippers, and stuff. Well, no, there was ancestor veneration and all kinds of things going on, and perhaps when a priest died, who knows, did they keep the skull and so on off of it? We've done that with a lot of religious arts. I mean, we've got, skulls and head and bloods and mummified people and all kinds of stuff. Let's not act stupid. So, is that it? Well, have they done a genetic test onto them, and does it show up to be those Natufian people? Does craniometry show it to be those people? I think that it does, and that's what he's indicating in his work. So, here's that Lion Man, and again, the marks onto his shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what's 9 marks? That's how many how many moons a woman goes through in her gestation period. And that scratching like that's been seen in a whole lot of things. That's the Lion Man that they call of Hohenstaedel Cave. But so he's got this book coming out and touting it in his article and stuff. But yeah. So a lot of ancient cave art will show you these depictions and Taurus. And this is not even a good one here. There's other ones where literally Taurus is made of the dots that whenever you look at it, it is the zodiac itself. And then just over here, there's dot on the wall doing the seasons and everything. It shows you. And then right above his shoulder, there's 5 in a cluster. And that's that Pleiades thing. And you see that same symbolic offset cluster in the Sumerians. And people have said, oh, that means this. Oh, that means that. Oh, well, it could be the Pleiades, and since these people have that, and those people have that, and it goes back this far, maybe that is that. Maybe it's the same thing. Symbology does seem to follow that way. Sometimes people don't know what the old symbology was, and they still just carry on the symbol. But it goes from there, like swastikas, where it's been taken way out of context now from what it originally meant, and you can find it all around the world, and it didn't have anything to do with what happened in World War II. But in a way, it did. Anyhow, like, share, and subscribe, guys, and enjoy. But is this the type of thing that caused the problem? And I think it really points to it. And I'm sorry it went into double videos there. Literally, I had, 6, 8 minutes left, but now I'm going to stretch it a bit. But is this the type of event that happened that did the Younger Dryas event and kind of reset mankind, but also in that resetting, it gave man a kick in the ass to do something? It seems so. It seems so. But did it take a couple of thousand years to get going? Yeah, because there's still that gap in between 7600 BC down to 31 to 3500 BC that we just show very little of, but a slow progression. Well, maybe it took that to come back from what they were doing. But you can see the stonemasonry work at Gobekli Tepe start showing up in Sumeria and down in Egypt and all over the place, and then there ends up being these megalithic stoneworks that go back, and nobody's sure how far they go back. Is it possible some of those were built older than we give credit for? And I think the answer is yeah, probably so, since we find some that are very much not worn compared to these, and they say, oh, they're all built at the same time, and you go, well, if that's the same stone, there's more weathering here, and unless you're going to put a cloud that just lives right above that spot, you're not going to be able to get 4 times the weathering out of that inside of, it's a couple hundred years. Because a couple hundred years from now, they're not going to be that, it's not going to radically change that much. There has to have been a longer span of time some of these places are done. And some of the old foundations, places like Baalbek and things along that line, look like they lead back to an earlier time, perhaps, than people are also giving credit for. Anyhow, guys, like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy, and we'll get on to this. And I have another one coming up about the Gobekli Tepe event and this also. So look for it here and hit that bell so you'll get notifications on it. Like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy. Peace.